I lost tens of thousands of dollars trading the stock market. How could I be so stupid? Why didn't I quit? I'll tell you exactly why and the whole story. Let's get into it. It actually didn't happen right away. It happened years after I started trading the stock market. Not exactly. When I first started trading was before the Robinhood days. It was back when you still had to pay for commissions. I had a Zecco trading account, which was, I think, the cheapest of all the brokerage accounts. I think it was like $4 or $5 per trade. But I put about $1,500 I'd gotten back on my taxes. I was about 21 years old. This was somewhere around 2008, 2009, somewhere in that era. And I put it in two different companies that were penny stocks. They were OTC stocks. And after doing my research, I found that these stocks can double and triple in a day. I'm going to make some easy money is what I thought. Well, within a couple of months, I'd lost my $1,500. Kind of took it as a lesson learned and didn't really mess around with stocks until a few years later. I was looking to get back into it, and that's when somehow when I was researching brokerages, Robinhood popped up, and Robinhood had yet to be released. It was still in beta testing. I put my name on a list, gave them my information, and it took a couple months before I was sent an email that said I was ready to start my account. And I thought it was too good to be true. I mean, 0% commissions, free trading. That seemed nuts to me at the time. This was around 2015. And by that point in time, I was in my mid-20s. And I was looking to really get into long-term investing. Definitely play it safer than I had a few years earlier with the penny stocks. I had a few $1,000s, maybe around $4,000 or $5,000, and I didn't know what I was doing, but I was trying to invest in, safe companies that I thought would bring me back decent returns, over years to come. And around the same time, I changed careers. I was a career firefighter, and I went to work for a private company as a paramedic. And so I had 7 years worth of retirement and 401k that was given back to me. And it was about over $30,000, around 33. I think after I paid taxes on pulling it out, I got about $30,000. I did not want to squander this money. This was the only retirement I had, and so I wanted to keep it going. So I did move it into my Robinhood account. Now, I was slow with buying stocks with this amount of money. I started out very slow, $1,000 here, $1,000 there. My account was growing small. I was happy with it. I was watching YouTube videos on how to find stocks, what to look for, growth potentials, balance sheets, revenues, all that stuff. I was really wanting to learn how to do this the right way this time. And as I got more comfortable, I was investing in companies like Netflix, Hershey's, stable companies. I was still kind of throwing darts at a board though. And my account started to grow, but as I got a little more knowledge, I started looking for other plays. I found a company called The Trade Desk, and it had IPO'd about 4 to 6 months prior, and everything looked fantastic. From what I remember, they had next to no debt. They had a lot of revenue growth. It was a couple of guys from Google that started this company. It sold basically ad real estate on the internet, extremely quickly growing industry back then. This was around 2016, 2017, somewhere in there. And everything looked great. Now, if I remember, the PE ratio is pretty high, but I really never paid attention to PE ratio back then, which would bite me later in the future. But back then, I didn't really pay much attention to that. I was really looking at balance sheets and revenue growth before I would buy a company. So I put about $6,000 into The Trade Desk, and after a couple years, it had tripled, quadrupled. It really catapulted my portfolio from in that $30,000 range all the way up to close to $80,000 within a couple years. And I was ecstatic. I really felt like I'd figured everything out and I knew everything, and I was the investor of all investors. You know how it goes when you have a good win. I was about to be humbled, but not quite just yet. I kind of hit a period in my career path. This was right when COVID hit, spring of 2020. I was already exhausted. I was working 100 hours a week, and I made good money, but I was exhausted all the time. I was really getting to that burnout phase of work. Being a paramedic in that field, especially when COVID hit, it was really insane. And that's when I started seeing YouTube videos about day trading. It started getting really popular around that time. Obviously, we had that market boom around COVID and the stimulus checks and all that stuff. So I realized, I was like, well, I've got $80,000 I can day trade. And, I'm well over the 25,000 limit. So at first it was just some option plays here and there, and they were small, a few $100s here, a few $100s there, steadily losing, but figured I'll figure this out any day now. Then I got at the time, Charles Schwab, which was then TD Ameritrade. I had a TD Ameritrade account and downloaded the Thinkorswim platform to learn how to actively trade and paper trade. I was trying to do it the right way. I really wanted to work hard at this. I wasn't afraid of hard work. It seemed like there was people that were successful all over YouTube. So why can't I? Why can't I be successful at this? So, I stayed in my paper trading account. I started to make a lot of money in the paper trading account. And so what happened? I started playing with real money, and I made money some days and I lost money some days, and it was kind of back and forth. And over months, I would be losing more than I was making. I would make 2,000, I would lose 2,500. I'd make 1,500, I'd lose 3,000. And this just kind of continued until I'd lost probably somewhere around $10,000. And so it would be the cycle of going back into paper trading, and I would invest my account into a stable stock at the time like Apple, and within a couple months that I kind of would make most of my money back that way, and then I'd find the new thing of why I would succeed, and this process continued until I would lose more money and I would be completely depressed and broken. And now I had kind of quit my job. I was doing Uber Eats and whatever I could to pay the bills. I was so unhappy in this cycle. And after about 2 years of this, I had realized I had lost a combined total of somewhere around, I don't know, $25,000, $30,000, even though I'd made some of it back, and then I'd lose it, and it was just this ongoing cycle. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to step away for a while. I'd lost a lot of money, and so I decided to go back into long-term investing. And this was at the very beginning of 2022. I invested in 2 companies at the time that I felt very secure in. They had a lot of growth, and they were doing great. And they both just collapsed during 2022. This is where the PE ratios really bit me in the ass. I'd never paid attention before on PE ratios and companies being overvalued or undervalued. I pretty much just looked at if they were financially healthy and had growth. And that was really all I really paid attention to when I invested in a company. And this was the icing on the cake. I invested, I probably had around at the time, like maybe $55,000, $60,000 that I invested into these companies. I was going to let them run and, slowly learn more in day trading and I don't know, maybe walk away, maybe not. I wasn't really sure at that time. I was just kind of starting over, and my account dropped all the way down into the low 30s. I had lost so much money, and I was broken. It was the lowest point I'd ever had. Especially then after looking, if I would have kept my money in the stocks I was holding, around the COVID crash, and let them run, I would have had, $300,000 or somewhere around there, with all the growth I'd missed out on because I was trying to day trade and losing money doing that. And I just couldn't believe I'd been so stupid. All those insecurities you have deep down, when something like this happens, they come to the forefront, and you just feel like such a failure. So at that point, I said, all right, well, those stocks I owned, they had dropped down tremendously. I knew there was a market crash going on at the time. I still felt good about those companies, so I held on. I got another full-time job in a different career field, making $37,000 a year, but it was a steady paycheck, and I just had to get out there and do something. And so I started working for that, and then I got my real estate license. I realized it was only a few $100s to get the license, and I was really just looking for anything at that point in time. I didn't know what I wanted to do at this point. I mean, I was in my mid-30s now, and I had no idea what I wanted to do, but I knew I could work hard, and I knew I could build something, and I like building things. I like growth. I like learning new things. So I got into real estate, and the first year went tremendous. I made great money. I was back to investing regularly. Both holdings I'd added more at low levels. At this point in time, one of them is still down. The other one has made me plenty of money. I went from a low point of my account being at 35,000, and now my trading portfolio is around 180,000. A few years later, a couple years later, whatever it is, and I've just pulling myself out of that hole, going back to basics, going back to what I knew, what worked, and then building upon that gave me all of my confidence back. And it made me push that much harder for what I'd started doing, which was being a long-term investor, investing in myself, the career path. I mean, I went from working 100 hours a week to then trying to day trade and being completely miserable and broken, to having a career where I'm working less than 40 hours a week. I'm home every night. I live a great quality of life, and I'm continuously investing, which I love. I love researching stocks. I love finding good value. And getting to this point has made me look back at that whole journey, and no matter how much pain I felt during all that, I am so happy that I went through it. It was a huge growth opportunity, and it taught me more than I ever could have learned elsewhere. That amount of pain, that touching the stove for that long, that was tremendous. And now I'm at the point where I can use all that hardship and move forward with it. There are these people out there on YouTube that tell you can get rich quick. It's not going to happen. Nothing happens quickly. And when it happens quickly, if it does, if you make Lambo money within a few months, there's a good opportunity you're not going to be able to hold on to that, because it's just going to go into the next play, and eventually it's going to catch up with you. So here we are. This is my first video on a YouTube series that's about investing the smart way. I want to build community. I want to talk about not only the fundamentals on investing in stocks, also investing in yourself, in your career path, living a healthy life that's not only physically healthy, but mentally healthy and financially healthy, and build a community around people that are excited to invest in their lives, invest for their futures, and really just focus on all the great potential that we all have. I see a lot of millionaires, on YouTube, and they all say there's no point in investing in individual stocks. You can't beat the market. Only the best people can beat the market. Invest in index funds, which is great. I advise anyone. I'm not a financial advisor, okay? So take what I have to say with a grain of salt. But I have 8 years of my long-term investments. Now, I'm not talking about my day trading, but my long-term investments, I did some math best I could, and I've averaged over 25% over the past 8 years from my long-term investments, the ones I've held on to, not the day trading, but long-term investments. And you can do it with some good study habits. If you're interested in this kind of thing, if you get excited to research a company, you can beat the market. Okay, it just takes a little bit of determination, and it takes some confidence that you have to build over time. You don't want to jump right into it, but don't let what someone else says that doesn't know you hold you back in some way. Worst case scenario, you don't beat the market, but you still make gains. So follow the channel, like, subscribe, do all that cool stuff. You know how it goes. And let's keep up. This channel is going to be about researching stocks, especially for beginners, how to pick stocks, how to evaluate them, how to know if you're getting a good deal or a good value on stocks. We'll also talk about career paths, investing in yourself, investing in your retirement, also maintaining a healthy financial situation and a healthy, fun life. So many channels out there kind of go either way. They're either just evaluate stocks or they're a vlog. This is going to kind of be all of that put together. So hope to see you from here on out. I'll be posting regularly. Have a good night.